Welcome back to the Glowing Mama Method podcast, where we discuss healthy and sustainable weight loss for women over 40. And today we have Ken Sylvan here from Be Elite. I'm so excited to have you here and to learn from you. I want to hear more about kind of like what got you into this field to begin with, and then to learn more about what your method looks like, because I know you have a wonderful method that touches on hormones and why we hold weight in specific areas of our body. So I feel like people will really want to understand how that all works.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Nice to be here. Yeah, I guess in terms of how I got into this space, I'd say originally both my parents were nurses. So both my parents from Trinidad. That's how they met. So as a kid, I was always like sitting there, in the basement reading their books sometimes and reading stuff and sometimes finding letters from them. But anyway, reading their books and like psychology and biology and nutrition and reading that. And then growing up, I was very fortunate to have a family where I would say already we were very holistic before that wasn't even a term. So before we went back to school, they'd give us like senna and like, worm oil to get rid of any like parasite stuff. And we'd have a clean out and then if we had issues, we didn't take a lot of Tylenol. They gave us other things. So I was always growing up watching my parents cook, make their own things. Like we didn't take a lot of medication, and so that's kind of where my journey started. But for me, it really took off when I had a lot of stress about, 15 years ago, or maybe actually no, like 17 years ago now. And my system kind of broke and it just wasn't working the way it used to. Like I would eat foods and I'd react to them and I ended up really not having any skin on my face. I ended up in a hospital at 2 a.m, like with a hood, like that movie kind of person. You go up and you pull the hood off and everyone's like, and I was like, yeah, I'm reacting to grass. I'm reacting to air. Like, I don't know what's going on with me. Had about 7 doctors all staring there looking at me, whispering, what's up? Do you know what it is? I don't know what it is. And then one doctor pushed through and says, it's impetigo. That's what it is. And I was like, I think my gut's messed up. I'm just starting to read on it, but I think I'm reacting. He goes, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. He told me to shut up. And he goes, it's impetigo. Get him antibiotics, like tons of them. So I had IV antibiotics. I had oral antibiotics. My face was bandaged. I had a nurse come into my house, like doing all that stuff. And I just wanted to get better. So I was like, whatever, bro. Like, I'll do whatever you say. But I knew there was something else going on.
Mm.
And a friend referred me to a course by a gentleman named Charles Poliquin, late Charles Poliquin. Um, and it's the first time I got clarity on what was going on with my body. He goes, it's your gut, Ken. Your gut's really messed up. And I felt good because I wasn't a freak. And from then I said, I want other people to feel understood.
Mm.
Everyone needs to be understood. No one is stuck. You just need to find the right person to help you on your journey. And if you give your body what it needs, it'll repair and it'll get better. And that's where I started diving deeper into, with my own suffering, became kind of my zone of genius.
So do you think you had a genetic predisposition to gut issues? Was it something that you were eating? Like, what do you think now looking back was the root cause there?
I think it's two things. I think my nervous system was a little bit fried as a young person. Like I said, like coming from a Caribbean background, like discipline was huge. And I think that really fried my nervous system. So I think from a young age, my gut was really like, always wondering, am I going to get in trouble? Did I get in trouble? Like that kind of stuff. And then on the other side, although we made all our own foods, still eating like, pasteurized dairy, having wheat. Those were things that I could feel back then it was off, but I had so much cortisone creams, it was like suppressing it. I remember my parents saying, you shouldn't use those things. They're going to weaken your gut. They're going to thin out your skin. But you're using them, right? So I think once I stopped and my system went crazy, it was already there. It just accelerated it with a lot of stress. So,
And you think of, like you said, your parents were nurses. And so I think of nurses and I think it doesn't automatically bring to mind someone who would understand natural health. So did your parents learn about this stuff within their nursing realm or outside of it? Or is nursing different in Trinidad where they actually take natural health into consideration?
I think it was both. I think they understood the biology of the body. And then what they were taught was a little bit different curriculum wise. While there was a lot of pharma didn't own Trinidad yet. So it was still like, okay, what are we using for remedies? Like, why were they giving us worm oil? Because they knew people pick up parasites. You walk barefoot. You have to get rid of them. So already that's different than other places. And then culturally, in the Caribbean, we have a lot of great holistic practices already that we use today. Like they would give us bitter melon, so you could, for your insulin, they'd give us like watercress and all these things that are like, ooh, like cloves. We'd eat cloves and have clove tea, and like those are all parasite remedies. So, and sealing the gut. So these are things that were just as I grew up, I realized as I got older, these are things that are part culture, and then I think part their nursing. I think their nursing was a little bit different back then because of lack of pharma. So.
And so you figured out through the Charles Poliquin method that you had some gut issues. And what did you do initially to heal?
Um, well, initially, like my background is neuroscience. So I did like at U of T, I did my specialist in neuroscience. So I understood the body like very well. I was already doing nutrition. It just was like very different than that. There was no gut health talking. It was like,
Mm-hmm.
eat clean, eat well, train hard. Like, that was kind of how it was. So I started, lucky enough, I had a friend who was a little bit ahead of me in the Charles Poliquin courses. She was studying acupuncture. She was a holistic nutritionist. I was like, what the hell is that? Like, I never even heard of that. Like heard dietitians, but so I started reading stuff that she was sending to me. And I went down a rabbit hole with Charles Poliquin about gut health. So he said, well, first take a lot of glutamine. And glutamine will help repair your gut. Try to find what your sensitivities are. So I would eat food and then I would I'd react to them and I'd be like, oh, okay, I don't think I can have that. And then I learned that your body reacts 2 hours to 2 weeks to a food. So I was like, I don't think I can do like a food log because it's so like there's so much stuff skewing everything. And I remember one of his courses, he said, stay away from wheat, pasteurized dairy, corn, soy, sugar, like even eggs, alcohol. And I was like, okay. And then I'd eat them and I'm like, oh, I react to that when I was reacting to all the things that he said. So I just started finding my way. Like different Paul Chek started coming up in my feed. I started learning about him and taking his courses, and then I started doing Qigong medicine, and TCMs would be like, like this is gonna dampen and cause a lot of dampness in your system, like wheat. So I keep seeing wheat, dairy, sugar, and like it doesn't matter if I go Eastern medicine, Western stuff, I'm seeing the same things. I'm like, okay, so let me pull these suckers out. Then I started feeling better. So
Okay, so you would say like wheat, dairy, like the most common allergens were the things that made the biggest change for you gut wise?
yeah, it started that way, and then I realized that other things came along for the ride. As your gut's damaged, the stuff that I was eating at the time, I ended up finding someone to do an IgE kind of blood scan. I realized, oh, the stuff that was on my scan was the stuff that I was eating. So French fries with ketchup, so potatoes and tomatoes were on my scan. Eggs, they were on my scan. I was like, oh, all the stuff that I'm eating, that's almost like it passed through the gut wall. So I started, like I said, learning more about that and realizing, okay, so it's just really just saying my gut's damaged big time because I was reacting to everything. So.
And so at this point, when you were on your healing path, is that kind of when you knew that this was what you wanted to help other people with as well? Or did you know before that that this was your calling?
Yeah, I was already in the industry. I was a director of health center, so I was running the health center, teaching nutritionists, teaching trainers. I had like 60 people in staff, running health center, hitting quotas. But I wasn't, like, I would do meal plans for my trainers, teach them, but I wasn't working with like clients. So I was already helping the world from a nutrition standpoint, teaching it. But then it just took me to a different path. It was no longer like I was like, oh, gut health became a discussion now. Inflammation became something I spoke about. Like yeast fungus, never talked about that. So I started learning about all these things, going in a different direction of nutrition, saying there's so many people that have stressors that we're not addressing. And I saw it in the gym. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why isn't that person getting results? I said, the
Yeah.
same trainer, they're doing 48 sessions. Why? Like, they got results they didn't. I go, I think stress was a big part of it. And stressors were food, stressors were sleep, stressors were cell phones were now out and, doing whatever. So I was like, yeah, I'm that old. So it was weird. So that's when I started going, maybe there's something to focus on there that we're missing. So,
Okay. So you were kind of just putting all of the puzzle pieces together as
mhm.
it went. Similar for me, like I was a personal trainer for a long time, and I'm like, how comes people, why does it seem like people are just spinning their wheels, but they're so consistent in the gym? There's just so much more to it than just moving your body, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of coaches that say that's all you need, but I'm like, I'm for the people that are like, not me, bro. I said like, the biggest challenge for me was cosmetically, I always was in shape. So I never had trouble with my abs, never had trouble building muscle. I was always in shape. So you think you're healthy, but
Mm,
that's not what health is. So there's other factors, right? Like how you digest, how you sleep, do you snore, your skin, like all these things are like these are factors that I'm struggling with over there though. So yeah, help me look at wellness different, like health different, not just like, oh, you got muscles, you're in shape. Like, no, you're not.
And so I think one of the things that when I think of you, I think of how you connect specific hormones to holding fat in specific areas of the body. So how did you come across that? And can you tell us a little bit more about specific hormones and areas of the body where we might be holding fat?
Yeah, because the same gentleman, Charles Pollock, and I took his biosignature. I remember the first time I was in his biosignature course. Huge disclaimer: you're in there like people work out for his classes because you're in front of 50 to 60 people, doctors, strength coaches, athletes, nutritionists, trainers, all naturopaths, all from around the world fly in to his course, or you're flying to a different place, like like
Mm.
America, Sweden, whatever, and you're in your underwear. I said, like, you're up on stage, and we do caliper testing, so he'd do caliper testing. He did caliper testing on the military. He's originally Canadian, and then ran a lot of stats and started seeing trends with basically their intake forms, their blood work, their deficiencies, and their sites. And started realizing, oh, so certain sites are related to different hormonal dysfunctions. So that's where we started for about 5 or 7 years. We did caliper testing on like thousands of people, and then we went online. So some of the biggest things we started noticing on trends was like everything he said. I'm like, this is actually true. Like we'd work on the nutrition, the supplementation for it, and then the site would move versus having to deplete someone on a stepper machine so they're like so depleted to lose like their body fat in their legs. We don't want to do that. So some of the different sites were pretty cool. And we look at, like, for example, upper back and the waist, those are insulin sites. So if someone's carrying body fat in the upper back, it's more of a genetic insulin issue. So inherited from their parents, um, but affected by sleep and activity. So we find when people don't sleep by 10 p.m., they aren't sleeping straight through the night. They snooze in the morning or they need caffeine to function. They're releasing too much insulin when they eat food. So even if they're eating like, low glycemic foods, or fats, they're still trickling too much insulin because cortisol is kind of blasting. And whenever we're in that stress state, we need carbs. So insulin is like more dysfunctional. The waste is more habits. So what we eat, the times, the quality, and the quantity. That's the number one problem site in North America, battled only by a different setting I'll talk about in a second, but it's the easiest to fix. It's all what we put in our mouth, the times and the change. So that's why you and I are so busy because most people just don't understand for themselves, what do I need to put in my mouth then? Like,
Yeah.
like, should I fast? Should I not? Should I have carbs? If so, when? What kind? Quality? Like all those things, like a Rubik's cube that you and I understand, but other people are still trying to understand. So
Well, there's also just so much conflicting information out there. Should I be a carnivore? Should I be a vegan? Should I go low carb? Should I do carb cycling? Like, what are the best carbs? Is quinoa good or bad? Is rice, like, what are the things? If I am going to eat carbs, like, what are the types? So yeah, I understand why it's so tricky for people to navigate. And so what are your thoughts on, like, let's say somebody is holding weight, you know, the muffin top, right? The midsection weight that most people want to lose. Would you say that like decreasing carbs is the goal, or the quality, the timing? What's the most important thing to do for that?
if it's muffin top, or we could call it, like I said, super iliac crest, so muffin top area, that's the timing, the quality, and the quantity. So I look at three things. I look at, okay, when are you eating your carbs? So number one, for something like that, I'd be like, make sure it's around activity. That's your most insulin sensitive time, meaning you can handle the insulin that you release goes into the cell, opens it up, and you can put the carbs in. So
Mm-hmm.
you have the best keys, the best swipe carbs for then to open up the door. That would be number one. Number two, I'd look at the type of carbs you're having. So I know a lot of people say, well, as long as you have this much carbs, you're fine. I'm like, try eating a Pop Tart, 100 grams versus 100 grams of squash, and see which one makes you feel different.
Mm-hmm.
Then try to eat 400 grams of it and see which one makes you feel and look different. Like I said, so the type of carb still matters.
Yeah.
So the lower glycemic it is, I found the better people can still eat carbs and then not disrupt insulin as much. So insulin doesn't go through the roof and then store body fat in those areas. So that would be the next thing I'd look at is the kind of carbs is a big part of it. And then number three would be, yeah, make sure there's protein. If you don't have enough protein, it's hard to regulate insulin.
Mm.
Protein, even fats for a certain degree, but fat, I'd say protein first slows that increase of insulin and keeps it more, energy's better, insulin's not spiking. And if insulin doesn't spike, we're not going to store, we're going to create adipose tissue or fat tissue as fast, right? So, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we've got upper back, we've got midsection. What about people who struggle with like the underarm fat?
Mm. Oh, one quick thing, belly button area is cortisol. So if the muffin tops are insulin, belly button's cortisol, so that's like stress hormone.
Mm-hmm.
And I always say it doesn't mean you're stressed out. It just means stress hormone's been disrupted. So that could mean like cell phones, Wi-Fi, surgeries and injuries. We call it the Furious Five. Like wheat, pasteurized dairy, corn, soy, sugar. Sometimes alcohol. Like we don't want to hear these things, but these are things that make cortisol go like this, right? Like you talk a lot about how your mind is like being busy in our mind, right? Like we said this before. You and I are cave women and cavemen with cell phones, right?
Mm.
So if our mind is busy, our body doesn't know, okay, who's she hunting right now? Why is she in danger? Why is she worrying? It's not thinking, oh, tariffs. It's not thinking that. It's not thinking about that stuff. So we always have to manage our mind a little bit. So triceps, that is more testosterone estrogen balance. So we start looking at how are those two working together for us. So if cortisol is up, it's going to pull the raw materials from testosterone, right? Kind of like your twin sister stealing your investments or your dividend stocks, same thing, right? Insulin is going to push up estrogen. So if we can't manage cortisol and insulin, managing testosterone and estrogen is going to be off. We're going to see more body fat in the tricep, more body fat right outside that bra strap there. We're going to see, mood lower or not as positive. We're going to see immune system down. We're going to see muscle tone down, body fat up. Those are all things we want to keep in balance. So
would you then say that estrogen and testosterone are secondary to your cortisol and insulin? So that's like, it seems that what you're saying is that's always going to be the place to start, right?
It's a simple place. And that's why even when we have a school where we teach this, and I'm like, in our level 1, we just teach 3 hormones: insulin, cortisol, growth hormone. Because if you get those under control, most of the others, thyroid, testosterone, estrogen, will be modulated just fine. Like 90% of the time, you'll be like, okay, if I keep those 3, I'm not going to tank progesterone. I'm not going to need HRT in 20 years. He said, because cortisol is going to disrupt progesterone production. It's going to throw it off. But you need time for that. You need 20, 15 years of like cortisol being like, and progesterone's like this, woo, woo, doing the same thing. So if we can get that under control, then you don't have to worry about HRT down the road.
Even with menopause?
Yeah, once you're in menopause, if you're not managing cortisol and insulin, it just makes it worse. Like you have a new problem now. Now, okay, great, my estrogen or my estradiol is off, or the ratios are off. All those things are off, but throw inflammation in there, and watch your functional medicine doctor like run around in a circle. Oh my God, what are we doing here? Like your levels are all screwed up. Okay, let me change this. Let me change that. I'm like, sleep. Like, don't eat inflammatories or reduce them if you can. Digest your food well. Like, go to the bathroom every day.
Yeah.
Your body like comes back, right?
And the mindset and managing your stress. I feel like, I'm not there yet, but I feel like when you see women hit that menopause, it's almost like it's the finish line of like your body putting up with your crap, for lack of a better term. Like you're not taking that stress response past this point. It's not coming with us. You can't drink alcohol the same way you once did. You can't cut calories, and you can't outwork a bad diet. Like those things end here. Let's go to the next level, right?
I love that.
Yeah. And I feel like, people always told me like, oh, wait till you get pregnant. You'll see what it's like. And I went through pregnancy and postpartum recovery like super easy because I had the foundation set. So I'm wondering if I'm going to hit menopause and people are going to be like, you just wait till you get there and you'll see. I'm wondering if I'll get there and it'll be the same, like a non-issue for me because I'm managing my cortisol and I'm managing my insulin, right? Like, and will I still need HRT? I don't know. It'll be an interesting thing to go through as someone who already has the foundation set. But I think a lot of people hit that point without having the foundation set. And that's when they realize how important it is to circle back and get all those things under control. Yeah.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. And you're right. You may still need HRT,
Yeah.
but at least you've done all the foundations, which means what you need will be less and not as much. A lot of people hop to that right away. I don't want to dive in an HRT hole, but a lot of people hop to that first. I'm like, you haven't slept in 30 years. Well, like, what do you expect?
Yeah.
Like, get to bed, sleep well, make it a priority. Like you haven't eaten, or when's the last time you cleaned out your liver a little bit or assisted the liver to clean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for sure, I think you're going to be your menopause. I remember studying with a doctor, and she said that your menopause will be a reflection of your menstrual cycles. So if your menstruation, if you treated it like a bad partner, locked it in the closet, birth control or something, and just like lock you up and don't say anything, you open that door at menopause, good luck. You can have an angry partner. So yeah.
Okay. And so the arms are more that like secondary, like testosterone, estrogen being messed up because of your response to stress or your sleep or your bowels or all of those foundational things. Yes? Does
Yeah.
that kind of make sense? And then for lower half, people who gain in the hips, the bum, the legs. I remember somebody responding to your story being like, I'm a Latina. I hold my weight in my booty and I love it, right? Like, I personally wish that that's like, how can I create that problem for myself?
I know a lot. It's funny.
Reverse engineer this one because
You can actually, which is funny. It's funny. One of my youngest daughters, like she was a gymnast, so she has round bum from the side, but like hips, no. And she's like, I want to like, how do I gain there, Dad? I'm like, that's not, you can't grow out that ways. That doesn't work like that, right? I go, that's when you maybe have babies and your hips go, maybe they rotate.
yeah.
I said, but lower body is mostly it's mostly secondary and primary estrogen. So chemicals coming into the body, a lot of the chemicals in our world are estrogenic. If they're more testosterone based, we'd all be walking around super muscular and lean all the time. But a lot of them are estrogenic. So the liver's like, okay, what am I going to do with this chemical? And I would say like medications, alcohol, tap water, cosmetics, household items, stuff you put on your eyes, like hair products, all those things, the liver has to convert them into a not, it's coming in as a fatty substance that's estrogenic. It needs to convert to a watery substance that we can pee, poo, and sweat out.
Mm-hmm.
That's our emptying system. So if we can't get that stuff out of our system, our body's like, well, safest place, I'm going to put it in its most likely substance. It's a fatty substance. It's going in fat tissue. Where legs hit bum, cheeks on the face. Okay. If I can't even do that, I'm going to try and convert it to a safer chemical. If I'm missing amino acids, antioxidants, certain things like molybdenum, lysine, other different nutrients that we need, I am going to create a more dangerous chemical and release it into the body. I tried to convert to a watery substance, but I don't have what you're taking Centrum and you're eating like crap. So that's what I got.
Gotta work.
So
Got.
So that comes out like cysts, fibroids, tumors, migraines. That's what you're getting when your system's like, I'm just going to dump harmful chemical out in the system. The body's going to try and encapsulate toxin. That's a cyst. Mutate tissue, fibroid. Tumor, more mutation. Migraines, you have stuff out in the system, right?
So if someone's dealing with those types of things, is it essentially just getting toxic load down that's going to help the most?
Toxic load is one because you have less boxes coming in. It's more making it more efficient. So people are like, I'll give you an example. People go, I did a juice cleanse and I got like tons of headaches and I had acne happen. And I'm like, that's because you detonated bombs and you have no scissors to clip the wires.
Okay.
So there's two parts to cleaning, right? Start the bomb, clip the wires.
Okay.
So phase 1 and phase 2. So if they're getting that, they need to go, That's why some people go on carnivore, go, I feel great. I'm on carnivore. I'm getting leaner. I feel great. My skin's better. All those things. Like I'm eating organ meat. Like I did that for a couple of years. I eating organ meat, and all of a sudden, skin gets better. Eczema goes away. I'm like, oh, because my liver was now clipping all the bombs.
Okay.
I was like, oh, that's why it got better. Like everything got better, and then it just stopped, right? So
And so we're trying to A, mobilize the toxins, and then B, excrete them properly.
that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
So simple things like, yeah, make sure you're sleeping like 1 to 3. You're cleaning the liver. 3 to 5, you're looking for those nutrients. So if you don't have the right amino acids, a broad spectrum, I always see on your page talking about rotating foods, colors of foods, like how you eat, like you make a lot of stuff from scratch. All these things, and your stuff always looks colorful. We need different colors because those are the nutrients that help your liver convert. We don't have those things 3 to 5 in the morning, your body's gonna pop up, right?
So is that bad news for the carnivores then if they're eating like predominantly meat and butter? Like what they're not getting colors. Like what are your thoughts on that?
I think the people that's resonating with carnivore long term, they're the people that never had scissors to clip the bomb wires. So they need them. That's why it's working for them, like clipping the bomb. Many of them at some point you'll see them change. You'll see Paul Saladino, like I said, carnivore MD. He now talks about fruit and a little bit of vegetables sometimes because
Yeah.
they're seeing things change. Even not to bring up Liver King, even Liver King only eat this, right? Great philosophy. You saw him start to change because just like myself, you don't need scissors anymore. Once you've clipped all the wires, now you need more bombs detonated. What do you need for that? You need vegetables and fruit.
Mhm.
So you're always playing a balancing act of that's why there is no way for food. It's who are you right now? Like, what is your body telling you? Can you listen to it? Find someone like yourself who can help you translate what the body's saying.
Yeah. And I think where a lot of people go wrong is their diet gets intertwined with their identity. Like, I am a vegan or I am a
Right.
carnivore. It's like, okay, maybe that's working for you now, but if it doesn't work for you, is that the hill you're going to die on or are you going to make some changes?
I love that. That is the best thing I've ever heard. That's the website. I'm going to buy it on GoDaddy, and like it's true. It's so true.
Right. Yeah. We have to be willing to pivot, I think, in all areas of our life, including the way that we eat. So we've talked about kind of all of the areas that you would hold fat. Just to kind of wrap up with that lower body. So if I want to gain weight on my lower half, the way to go about it is not to start getting a bunch of xenoestrogens through plastic water bottles, correct?
That is correct. That is correct. There are people out there saying to do that, by the way.
Probably better to just, build some good old fashioned muscle and work with the body and the genetics that you have. And if someone wants to deal with fat in those areas, would that be a good place to start? Like getting the fake estrogens out of the diet?
Yeah, I'd say number one, I would say look what's on your eyes first. Whatever's on most women's eyes are causing a lot of problems on the thighs and the body. So
Wow. Like mascara or
yeah,
what?
mascara is like that's probably the most common one right now that a lot of makeup places are finally starting to go, oh, we got to change this stuff. The ingredients in mascara, it's never on there. You go look it up and you'll be like, you're like, okay, I need to get rid of this stuff. So
Yeah.
it really bangs up the liver. So liver has a lot of like, I don't know how to deal with this. So I got to store it. So
Yeah, and there's a lot of volume. A lot of women are putting a lot of different things. We see on TikTok, people are putting layers and layers of things or concealers and
yeah. And a lot of women will say, look, lipstick wasn't great. It had a lot of lead in it. So a lot of women just do like gloss. They're not
yeah,
doing a lot of lips. So a lot of women aren't doing foundation anymore. They want to bronze. They want to do whatever,
yeah,
or they don't need to do any of that. But most women, no matter what shade you are, what color you are, they're using eye stuff mostly. And
yeah.
that's one like, oh, geez, how do I deal with that? So even the glue on a lot of the eyelash stuff, you just gotta watch. Just gotta read. It's not avoid and be scared. It's like I'm smart enough to read now. Oh, gonna find a different eyelash glue. I'm gonna find a different mascara.
Yeah, just level up, right? The health food store now has so many different makeup options. I'm sure they're not perfect, but they're better than your like conventional stuff, right?
That's right. That's right.
I feel like it's really helpful to look at your toxic load as like the bucket approach. Like you just don't want that bucket to overflow. So you're going to choose, there's going to be certain things where you just assume the toxic load that it comes with, and then other things like where can I level up and where can I make little tweaks and changes to
I
move in the
agree.
direction.
Yeah. That's all you can do, right? We do it everywhere. It's not, we don't just ourselves in the last place. We're always looking for better shoes, better socks, better clothes, better cars, better seats,
Yeah.
better everything. So why not stuff like that?
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so if someone is kind of just starting out and they're starting to understand, okay, why I'm holding fat in certain areas of my body and what changes need to be made, like how would someone just start? I know you have your 5-step assessment. So like can you talk a little bit about that and how you would move someone through that transformation?
Sure. So when someone starts with us, that's usually our doorway. Our 5-step body assessment is our first year of figuring out, well, why is your body stuck?
Hmm.
What's going on? We're going to look at 5 pillars or 5 keys to fat loss, we always say, or even repair. We're going
Mhm.
to look at hormonal profiling. So we will look at your pictures and go, where you carry body fats related to hormones, what are your top 3 focuses?
Mhm.
Okay, number 2, we'll look at the thyroid. The thyroid is the queen of everything in your body. It's like a little girl that's driving the truck. She's driving everything. She's handling all the levers because she affects skin, hair, sex drive, fat loss, muscle gain, mood, everything, temperature. So we don't test the thyroid, but we look and see, is it happy? We'll do iodine and temperature and watch and see, is iodine pulled up fast? Is it disappearing? Are we deficient? It's what's one of the things that keep your thyroid happy, but also tells us the thyroid's generating. Why is it generating thyroid hormone so fast? Okay.
What does that mean? You're like the thyroid test where you put the iodine on
Yeah.
and see how fast it absorbs into the skin, right?
Got it. So the faster the thyroid pulls up the iodine, the more I would say it's stressed. It's like it's needing raw materials at a rapid rate, and you're missing them.
Yeah.
So we want to look at that. Okay,
Okay.
and then temperature as well. If the temperatures are low, I would say like we're looking at 96 degrees, 95 degrees, like really low. Your body's cold. The thyroid's kind of like slowing down a little bit.
Mm.
And that may be why you're putting on body fat, because it's like either you're under eating or stress is high and the thyroid's getting signals, I'm in danger, let's shut it down. You
Okay.
know, we all know when your thyroid says no, it doesn't matter. You're not dropping body fat. You'll gain weight. So
Yeah.
it'll control everything. So we look at that. We look at Braverman, so neurotransmitters. Okay, so as neurotransmitters tell us a little bit about our gut health. As some of our neurotransmitters are made by our gut, so it gives us a story then. It also tells us, what do I need to sleep well, wake up well, and be focused? Follow a meal plan. All those things that we need people to do, or be organized, be motivated. They all come from our neurotransmitters. So you look at that. We'll look at macro balance. Like, should you be having more carbs? Are you someone that seems to be having more fats? What do you need? What's your body telling us right now? We do a digestive questionnaire, and it just flags things. It'll flag all the organs in your digestion from the mouth to the anus, and just say, okay, what are some challenges we could be having?
Hmm.
Uh, and then we bring it all together. Once we look at those 5 keys, we go, okay, this is the reason what we're seeing, and then we talk about what the success plan could be if we work with you.
Okay.
In training, we talk about periodization. We periodize your training.
Mhm.
You know, you do this phase and this phase, this phase. When we talk about nutrition, we periodize it. Are we
Mhm.
regulating the system? Do we have to work on insulin first? Then we work on the gut second. Then we work on the liver after. Why do we do these things? And how do your goals plug into it? So that's kind of where we go from there. And if people are interested and they want help, then we will bring them to our online stress reduced fat loss program. That's our system, stress reduced fat loss. And we have a program that runs online, and that's how we coach them. So
And so, are you doing any, because this is all virtual, so you're not doing calipers, you're kind of using photos to see where someone's holding fat. But what about the piece about like neurotransmitters? Like, how are you getting information on those?
sure. That's our Braverman's test. The Braverman's test is still the number one way to find out neurotransmitter deficiencies.
Mhm.
So it's a very long test. It'll probably take you maybe 45 minutes to an hour to do.
Okay.
It's a lot of questions, and it asks based on your neurotransmitter, you'll answer certain questions certain ways. That's very
Mm.
well. I remember doing it in university in my neuroscience and doing a Braverman's and then seeing it later and going, we should have this in our assessment because
Mhm.
it's a really cool piece. So yeah.
And do you ever do like a Dutch test or a hormone test to kind of like see like are we on the right track based on all of these questionnaires and things? Or do you kind of just go ahead and assume that what the outcomes to those questionnaires are is likely what we're dealing with and then test from there?
We have the ability to run labs, like I said, like hormone labs, like heavy metal labs, stuff like that. But we usually use them for the last 5% of clients that are stuck, who've done all the foundations, worked on all the things, have all the habits, and they still something's still off. Then we test, don't guess. Then we'll go from there. But we've been using their assessment for almost 17 years. And I've had clients like, who do MedCan. Like I used to work with, the old CEO, Tim Hockey from like a TD Bank. And I'd go down to his office at 5:30 in the morning, TD Towers, and do his assessment. He goes, Ken, I learned as much in your assessment in 30 minutes as I did with all the vials that they took from me at their MedCan research. So we're really confident on being able to pinpoint the right things and work on it. He goes, you're literally bang on with everything and you didn't take any blood from me. So
yeah, I think that I really resonate with that approach. People often ask me about hormone testing, and I can order Dutch testing for people, but I don't do it because if we make the changes, if we regulate the nervous system and balance the blood sugar and get the toxic load down, and the changes happen, there's no longer a need to test for hormones if the results are, the proof is in the pudding.
that's right. You're absolutely right. And you see it all the time, probably in your own practice with clients. It's like, yeah, most people, if they do the right things, system runs. And if it isn't in that small bunch of people, then great, we go look.
Yeah.
But most people aren't doing all the things consistently enough or haven't repaired the systems for it to work. So they're kind of going to the test like, do we need to test it? Go, this test is just going to tell you your gut's leaky. We know that already. You want to spend $400? We can. But that's really all it's telling us. Let's fix the gut. Okay. So it just depends on how people want to look at stuff. I'm just trying to save people money, and I'm sure you are too, right?
Yeah. Like if you already know your hormones are off, if we make the changes and your hormones feel more stabilized, then we're in a good place, right?
Exactly.
And so in terms of like tangible things, we've talked diet, exercise, stress, sleep. Are those the main things that you focus on? And are there other things and modalities that are very helpful for someone who's trying to optimize their health and body composition?
That's a good question. I would say because we always look at movement, whether that's training or not, lifestyle, supplements, nutrition. Those are great for that. And sometimes in the lifestyle piece, lifestyle could be like, yeah, I'm going to do breath work, first thing in the morning. Like for example, the other night I was up late and I knew it pushed my adrenals being up that late. I don't go to bed at midnight normally. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do tomorrow? Okay, so I woke up, did Wim Hof right away.
Okay.
To try to support my immunity, so I don't get run down. I don't want to get sick. So I do Wim Hof in the morning. I'm more alert. I don't drink coffee, so I need that. Then I did some tapping because I'm like, okay, let me why? Because I like working on meridians, helps my organs function and get everything under control. So there's always things we can do. I would say everyone should have some sort of energetic practice. Okay. Whether that's yoga, qigong, tai chi, whatever, singing bowls, whatever you want to do, but something that brings mindfulness and breath together. So we can, because our mind and our stress affect our organs, and our organs affect our function. So you cannot run that. You can try, and I know because doing Reiki for 20 years, being a Reiki master and doing energy medicine and being a neuroscientist, I've seen the science and the woo-woo, and I'm like, they're so connected. When you're stressed, your organs don't work. So I can do whatever I want to do. Any liver cleanse on the planet's not going to work if you have harboring anger. We got to work on the anger.
Right. And so do you teach all of these types of modalities or give your clients kind of resources for okay, this is where you're at, you need breath work, or this is where you're at, you need, qigong. What is it like? How do you work those types of things into your practice?
Yeah, that's a great question. We always try to give examples, resources, and I always like to ask the person first. Okay, so for example, someone's not, they're having a rough time. I'm like, what do you have capacity for? I could give you an adrenal supplement, or I can give you tapping 3 times a day. Which one do you feel you have capacity for? Someone's like, I don't want any more subs, bro. Can I just tap? Yeah, go tap. Here's how to do it. Someone else, I have no space for tapping. I'm never gonna remember. Just give me the adrenal supplement for now. Okay. So I always try to ask people what they feel they can do,
Yeah.
so that it's not more stressful. Because sometimes we're in an industry of doing more.
Yeah.
Do this, do that. Change this, change that. People are like, oh my god, like I can't take it anymore. So sometimes it's like, what can you do right now? What's best for you?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I like to look at it, right? So it's not always about sitting in front of the red light. I'm like, is getting out and sitting on your porch better for you? Yeah, I can do that. I like my dog likes to walk. I'm like, good. Forget your red light therapy. Go for a walk in the
Yeah.
morning. So
I think that's a really good point. I feel like when people initially come to me, they're looking at it as like, okay, here it is. I got to take on another part-time job again. I've done this before. I know this is not my first rodeo, right? Like, so they're getting ready for me to just slam them with more things to do on top of their already, like, I'm working with moms. I'm working with women who are, working, and they're trying to juggle everything. It's stressing them out and causing the issues that they're dealing with, that they're coming to me in the first place with. And so if and this is why this calories in, calories out doesn't work, because we're throwing now more things to do at an already stressed out person, and then undernourishing their system and overstressing the system with exercise. And here, take out your scale and weigh everything and do everything, count everything. Like, they just don't have the capacity for those things. And it actually might be working against them. And so I feel like whatever direction that you go in, you got to find a way to make it feel like ease, right?
mhm.
So, like, I love the example of like the tapping versus the adrenal tinctures. Remembering to take a tincture might not feel like ease to somebody, but to others, tapping 3 times a day might not feel like ease. So, like, what feels like ease to you? What's the path the path of like least resistance that we can take to get you there?
For sure. And then where, you may be in a different situation down the road where you're like, yep, I'm down for that now.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. Okay, great. We do something different this time. So it's never the same. It's like, who are you today? As long as you
Yeah.
can listen and figure out who you are, listen to your body gives you all the answers.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Okay. So, can you tell us, just to kind of wrap up, if there's anything else you wanted to add, and how do people find you? Do you have any resources for people to kind of dig into this way of approaching health optimization?
Sure. I'd say a couple of simple things. If someone's like, okay, look, bro, like lowest hanging fruit. I'm really busy mom right now. Like, what's going on? What are some simple things I could do? Number one, I would say, look at your sleep. That is the cheapest, most exponential thing. So if it's your kids keeping you awake, how can I help them sleep better then? When my kids were small, we'd sit in the dark room together, around 7 o'clock, we dim lights. They had jobs, we did candles, you know what I mean? And we'd sit together and I would meditate. And then like they'd giggle and fart and laugh, but then I'd always open my eyes at one point and they'd be meditating next to me. And as much as I want to feel like I want to cry right now, just think about that because my kids are like 24 now and 19.
Oh,
But they developed that practice of learning how to ease their nervous system. When they were babies, I'd rub, magnesium lotion on their feet after when they come in their little bath. So even now, they need magnesium. They feel the difference.
yeah.
So start working on simple nighttime practices like the phone, toss it 15 feet away, put it in a Faraday case, whatever you have to do, but work on great sleep. That will be probably the biggest, weapon you have to start your fitness journey. So when Steph asks you, hey, I need you to do this, you'll have the neurotransmitters, the motivation to do it in the morning because you slept well, right?
Mm.
Versus saying, I'm not motivated to do it. That's a chemical thing, right? So help the chemistry first, so then Steph can do what she needs to do with you as well, right? So that'd be my first start, to go to that. And second, look at digestion.
Yeah.
Chew your food. Chew your food. Like, we rip food and run. I'm like, we are not dogs and lions. Like, we need to chew 30, 40 times. So try to have a meal where you're not ripping the food off the bone and running.
And there's deeper issues to that too. Like, if someone's in that, like, rushing sense of urgency mindset, they're already having like a cortisol roller coaster. And then another side effect of that is going to be not chewing enough and rushing to eat,
Yeah.
which is going to affect your digestion even further. So, yeah.
And then
Such a
we're like, hey, how to make my stomach look flat? I'm like, just chew. If you chew, poop, and absorb food, your stomach's gonna be great. You're gonna look how you want.
yeah.
So, um,
Okay, so if somebody wanted to work with you and find you, how can we do that?
where can you find it? I would say if you aren't on Instagram, that's too bad. I'm not kidding. If you're on Instagram, it's B as in Bob underscore elite underscore Ken. You may find any of my coaches on there too. So B underscore elite and we'll all pop up. And you can always hop in a link to book a discovery call just to find out about the assessment. Like, I not even do the 5-step assessment, just like, what's it all about? Is it a good fit for me? That's probably a good place to start.
Perfect.
You can hit us up on our DMs. Yes, we have a website, www.belite.ca. That's BLITE.ca. You can find us that way as well. And that's usually our first kind of place. What I will give everyone is if you want a resource, we do have a hormonal reset guide. So I can give you the link for that for your, I guess, for the show notes, whatever, if you want. And people can just learn a little bit about if I'm carrying it there, we give tips in their supplement lifestyle that they can do. And then it's a little guide they can use. So that's another nice resource for all of it.
Perfect. Love that. Well, thank you so much. I feel like I could just keep asking you questions forever.
I have to have you back on my podcast. I want to have you back on again because you're amazing. So yeah.
Like we've got lots of conversations in the bucket to pull up.
Yes, I agree. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate that.
Thanks for coming.